YouTube, it's Maddie, the Empty Nest Scrapper. Welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you stopped by. If it's your first time, I hope you enjoy the content. And if you do, please remember to subscribe, like, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. This is a video that I didn't think needed to be done. I thought about it years ago, but there are tons of videos out there, and yet I still see YouTubers who I like to watch struggling with this little concept, and that is what is best to use with an alcohol marker. So this is the alcohol marker I use, Hoo-Hoo. It's a budget brand. That's fine for me. If you're using Copex, but you still have this question, and the question is, what ink works best with an alcohol marker? And since I was doing it and comparing the black inks that I have, I thought I would go ahead and demonstrate what works best with a water-based marker. So this is a Tombow marker. Many of you may have this or something like it. And I thought it would be fun to just do a quick little demo and show you the recipe that works for me. First things first, this is the paper I like to use for alcohol marker, and this is Hammermill. Let's see if I can get that in a way you can see it. So if you can read that, it says Hammermill Premium Color Copy Cover, and that is 100 pound. Oh, it is heavy, pardon me. It is 100 pound, 250 sheets, 100 brightness, and let me see if I can find the GSM. 270 GSM is what I'm seeing here. My eyes are not perfect. It may be saying 200 and something else. That's what I use. So I picked a random line stamp out of my stash. So this happens to be just an Avery L stamp, Furry Friends. And I chose this little doggy right here. And I'm going to stamp in front of you just with a little block these three inks. So my ink of choice for alcohol marker is Memento. My choice for overall stamping is VersaFine Clair. That is waterproof. Ranger, also waterproof ink. It is not quite as black as VersaFine Clair, but those are the black inks that I have in my stash that I use on the regular. So I'm gonna just stamp out three little doggies on my alcohol and three little doggies on my watercolor sheet. They're both the Hammermill. Alcohol and watercolor is what I'm talking about, the markers that I'm going to use. So I'm just going to try to create three images that I can stamp, and then you'll be able to take a good look at what happens when I put each marker over it. So here's my Memento. Do a little doggy from Memento Black. And I'm going to do another one right there. I am so bad at stamping without a stamp positioning tool, but the image doesn't really need to be perfect. It just needs to be dry when I do the demo. So I'm gonna create three doggies. Hopefully the ink will have dried by the time I move over to using my markers, and I'll show you how I test for that before I go over it with the markers. So I think I must have had some, I don't know, residual something, because it didn't really stamp out super perfect, but just going to get all of that memento off so I can move over to my VersaFine without too much difficulty. So the memento is really not to blame. I believe it's the way I cleaned off my stamp previously. If you have memento in your stash, you pretty much know it will stamp out fine. It's just that when I cleaned it previously, I left over some marks. Okay, so that seems pretty clean. Next, VersaFine Clair. Let me see if I've cleaned it better this time around. So we just get some ink on our doggy. Oh, doesn't look fully covered. That's better. Oh, I'm a terrible stamper, but for the purposes of seeing what smudges, it doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm just going to go with it. I hope you don't mind, and we'll move forward. Yeah. So that's the VersaFine Clair. Again, not perfect, as you can clearly see, but that's really not a problem in regard to finding out what smudges and what doesn't. Last but not least, let's try the Ranger. And I'll try to do better with the images, but the images are not as important right now as what happens when the marker hits it, be it alcohol or be it watercolor. So that's what I want you to pay. Oh, that one came out perfect. I guess I'm getting practice. So there's the last one. Let's see how the puppy looks. Yeah, that one came out perfect. All right, so that's what we've got. Just gonna wipe that down a little bit. And I will make sure these are all closed. And this is how I test to see if my images are dry. I'm not gonna dry them. I don't want them to get warpy. I don't want you to hear that horrible sound. I'm just gonna press down with the paper towel and see if anything comes off. And it's clear, as you can see. I can move my finger over any image. There's nothing there. So, perfectly clean. I mean perfectly dry. Okay, so first I will show you what happens to memento when you use an alcohol marker. Again, this is a yellow, and this is, if you're gonna test before you test a marker, I suggest yellow because you can see what smudges super easy. So here comes, oh my goodness, my hands just are not my friends. Look at that, I spilled some memento there. Okay, some alcohol marker there. I'm gonna have to be careful with that. All right, so on the memento, if I color right on top, no smudging. Those little dots are just what happened at the time that I stamped it. Next, VersaFine. Love VersaFine, not for this. Look at that. Look at that smudge. Let me wipe that off. Huge difference, right? Let's see archival. Okay, there you have it. Memento is clearly a better choice for alcohol marker coloring. Next up, let's try and find out what is better for watercolor coloring, and this is my Tombow. I'm going to start with archival because I know that archival and VersaFine are both waterproof, and the Memento I expect to smudge, but I want you to take a look and see. So archival, pretty good. VersaFine had a little smudge. Maybe it was a little wet. Usually I don't see it. But here's the Memento. Quite a bit of smudging. You could just see the different color. I am surprised that the VersaFine, it does take up quite a bit to dry, but that's what we've got. So here is the alcohol comparison. Clearly Memento did the best, and VersaFine and archival pretty much had a struggle. Watercolor, archival and VersaFine seem to do pretty well. I noticed a slight movement in the VersaFine, but I'm pretty sure that that's because there must have been a wet spot that I did not detect. And then the Memento, of course, did struggle quite a bit. So I hope you find that helpful. I hope you find it useful. Again, I do love my alcohol marker coloring on my hammer wheel. And somebody did say, and I'm going to run and get another couple of markers, just for a quick demo regarding blending the colors. So I'm just going to flip that over and do a quick demo. I've got two like yellowish oranges, and I thought that would give us a good feel for how they blend. Oop, that's the bullet. And I do want the brush. Okay, so I'm just gonna lay down a bunch of light yellow. And for this, you know, you want to lay down quite a bit. Then I'm gonna take a second sort of orangey color. I don't even know what colors these are, and I certainly can't see. And then I'm going to take a little bit of a darker, I think that's a peach color. Let me see how these blend. Can they blend with one another? So what I try to do to make them blend is go over the whole thing. I don't see much blending here. Actually, not really seeing much of a good blend. Oh, these two are blending though. Yes, they are. The yellow, not so much. But we're gonna give it a little more ink. Now we're blending. I guess it just needed to have a little bit more ink to make that blend come to pass. So this was just a quickie to see if I can make things happen. And it took a little work, but I'm not the greatest at alcohol coloring. But it does, you can see on the other side, it does pretty much blend some. I hope that helps ya. Look at all that smudgy puppies now. Not so much, huh? So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful. And let me know what you use for your alcohol coloring and your watercoloring. Thank you so much. And leave me a comment below, thumbs up, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye, YouTube.